The freed demon slammed his hands into the ground, creating a large shockwave. Smelling the odor, it turned sharply to stare at the guy, who clearly wasn't thrilled with the attention. A blade emerged from the demon's hand and shot with great speed at the guy, injuring him. Screaming in pain, he lay on the ground, clutching his shoulder, blood seeping through his shirt. In one great leap, he shortened the distance to his target, finding himself right next to Hanmaru. They met eyes, demon, prepared to finish the young man, as suddenly 2 huge centipedes appeared from the ground, which encircled the monster's body, trying to strangle him. The owner of the centipede demon ability activated his power, restraining the demon, while his partner rushed to attack. With one jump, he shortened the distance and blew off part of the demon's head. The girl was the owner of Hyoje's demon power. They couldn't believe they had succeeded in destroying their first demon. But suddenly, yellow dust began to seep into the wound. Blood began to bubble and repair the damaged part. The demon smiled as he saw the frightened faces of his attackers. In the next second, tearing off the centipedes that were choking him, he pulled the guy, pushing him against the girl. Then, with a sharp movement, he pulled on himself, grabbing the throat of the guy who flew straight into his hand. The demon began to choke him, while his mouth slowly opened, revealing fangs. The poor guy begged to be saved as the mouth opened wider and wider. Breaking his finger, he snapped the monster's jaw. Sungwoo wielding the power of a temple demon, he said he wouldn't let the freak do as he pleased. With a displeased look at the man, the demon roared. He prepared to release the blade from his hand. But Sonyu took his hand and said, "Die," and broke his wrist. The demon's neck and arm were broken in an instant, but the force was so great that the neck couldn't withstand it, and the head was torn off. The demon's body collapsed to the ground like a stone, and the head rolled right under Sungwoo's feet. The impressed co-workers were discussing his level 7 strength with which he had killed the demon in an instant. The man seemed to be disappointed by the demon's quick death. The girl called out to Sungwoo. She was angry that he broke the blade that held the demon. After all, he had endangered the others. "Wasn't it me, or do you have proof?" Sungwoo asked. The girl grabbed his hand, asking if she could break a couple more fingers and see if her blade would break. The head of the association started clapping. She was impressed with the newcomer's ability. However, it seems one is missing. In the meantime, Hanmaru was just running away. Not only did they make him a special government employee, they made him fight a demon. Fuck it, better to run away and stay alive. He braked sharply and was shocked. What was it this time? The head of the Special Purpose Association was disappointed that Hanmaru had escaped. He was definitely not fit for this job. The girl thought about it. It seemed to her that the demon had initially aimed only at him. She turned to the head. Isn't it strange that the demon is dead and the dust hasn't disappeared yet? Everyone tensed up a bit. At this time, a huge gate appeared right in front of Hanmaru. The gate glowed slightly yellow. The demon's head began to emerge from the gate and then the whole body. Hanmaru, very scared, was sitting behind a bush right next to the gate. As soon as he escaped from one demon, a second one appeared. Looking out from behind the bushes, he saw an empty clearing. Maybe the demon had left? The guy called out to the captain and the head association. Running up to them, he stopped to catch his breath. Then he said that they called from the office. A level 3 demon alert was announced. The head association was shocked. Demons had never appeared in the same area at the same time. Captain Chana asked where the demon was. At this time, Hanmaru tried to run as fast as he could, despite the pain in his shoulder and fatigue. All he needed now was to save his life. Tripping over a rock, the boy flew down the hill. Rubbing his bruised head, he noticed a house ahead. Hoping to hide there, he ran towards it. Hiding in a small barn, he looked out through a crack, hoping that the demon had not chased him, but he was already here. Hanmaru noticed that some strange fragments had appeared above the demon's head that were not there before. Suddenly, the door creaked. A small old woman asked who was there. She did not understand where the yellow fog came from in the middle of the day. She complained that nothing could be seen because of the fog. The demon smiled happily. The granny is in danger. She needs to be saved somehow. The words of the head of Chuenyun popped up in his head. They also received demonic abilities, which means they received their regeneration from yellow dust. However, if the wounds are fatal, we may actually die, so be careful. Hanmaru's hands were shaking. He might die, and safety must come first. The old woman peered into the fog. She asked who was there. The demon repeated after her.
Who is there?
Coming closer, she was able to make out. A huge demon was standing in front of her. In horror, she fell to the ground, not understanding what it was. Smiling, the demon repeated,
Who is there?
The fragments that were hovering above the monster's head began to move. He pointed his finger at the old woman. The old woman opened one eye, seeing Hanmaru, who covered her with his body. He smiled at her, asking if everything was okay with her. The old woman was worried. Everything was okay with her, but your hand, young man, it is not there. Kneeling down, he asked her to run away quickly. Hanmaru thought, why is his ability only the first level, as worthless as himself? The demon at this time was already standing behind him. The old woman cried in fear, and Hanmaru thought, I beg you, please, let someone come and save me. Yellow dust began to penetrate his wound. When yellow dust gets into the blood, it activates the ability of those who received it from the demon. Hanmaru felt hungry. Drool began to flow from his mouth. His power awakened. Having lost his mind from hunger, he jumped straight at the demon. At this time, Chana ran as fast as she could, trying to find the demon. Hearing strange sounds, she decided to run towards the sound. She ran into the courtyard of the house just as Hanmaru bit off part of the demon's neck. What is this newbie doing? The demon grabbed the guy by the head and threw him with all his might into the stone fence with such force that it was covered with cracks. From the blow, he lost consciousness. The demon was a little puzzled. The wound on his neck did not heal. Chanha also noticed that he could not heal after Hanmaru's bite. But why? Without wasting precious time on thinking, she rushed to the demon. Making a jump, she grabbed a shard that was hovering above the monster's head, thus activating her ability, the power of the Iron Demon. Maddened with rage, the demon roared, directing the shards towards the girl. Chanha did not lose her head and parried them with her blade. While the demon was covering himself from his own ability, she jumped, preparing to strike. The next moment, the surprised monster was cut in half. Landing on her feet, the girl looked at the result of her blow. The yellow dust began to disperse, as did the body of the monster. Approaching the old woman, she asked how she was feeling, but the old woman asked in surprise what had happened. Chanha said that a wild boar had just run by and had now disappeared into the forest. Ordinary people forget about demons as soon as the yellow dust disappears. The granny scolded the boars that were ruining her harvest. The girl promised that as civil servants, they would take on all the losses and damages. Hearing this, the old woman disappeared into the house. Chanha immediately turned to the newcomer, looking at him. She could not believe that his regeneration was so fast. Did he really have a first-level ability? Clearly irritated, Hanmaru received a message. It said that tomorrow he must start work as a civil servant. Remembering what happened recently, he clearly did not want to go. But he needed a job. Deciding that he would think about it in the morning, he went to bed. Falling asleep, Hanmaru began to dream of a dream. Many demons who were fighting. They devoured each other, and someone kept whispering, "Come back!" Abruptly waking up from a nightmare, the young man sat up to catch his breath. This nightmare has been haunting him since that day on the mountain. Suddenly, he noticed that it was somehow too bright outside the window. Thinking that it was already morning, Hanmaru looked out the window. The mountain that was near the city was covered in fire. At this time, the demon who caused the fire stood in a clearing. The girl who appeared poured rain on him. She was the owner of the ability of a water demon. The man used his breath and began to freeze the demon with his ability of an ice demon. The girl turned to the captain, asking why the demon appeared at night because this had never happened before. But he told her to focus on the fire. The ice began to melt uncontrollably, so without wasting time, the man created ice blades to destroy the monster. The man rushed to attack. Suddenly, the demon felt someone's voice. He said, "Bring him to me." This made the demon activate all his power that was. Having broken the ice shackles, he prepared to strike the man who was already near him. Having hit him with his fist, the demon threw the man into a tree. Burns were visible on his body. The girl screamed in fear, and the monster at that time activated his volcano on his back, splashing a lot of lava around. The man did not understand why the demon was getting stronger. At the Seoul headquarters, there was a real commotion. All the computer screens were red, indicating a state of emergency. The head of the association asked what the situation was. The operator said that they were currently being attacked in 20 places at the same time. The behavior pattern of the demons had completely changed. Chu Young-gun noted that it all started a week ago during a rookie meeting. One of the employees said that an important call came from Busan. A man in a suit on the other end of the phone decided to flirt a little with a woman, asking when she would be coming to visit. After which the man said that they had problems in Busan. The portal from which demons appear has remained open for 3 days in a row. Hearing this, Chu Young-gun was shocked. This is impossible. After a demon dies, the gate closes. But in Busan, they will continue to crawl out. And the team of Mount Gomjung is completely exhausted. The head of the demon appeared from the portal, followed by the rest of the body. The demon shouted something in the demon language. The girl who was standing near the gate listened and tried to translate what the demon was saying. And judging by the translation, the demon said the following: "Bring him to me." "Bring? Who?" asked Chiyunin. "But we don't know that." The demon jumped out of the gate. His limbs were like spider paws, with sharp ends. The size of the demon was enormous. Having hung up the head of the association was confused. The next moment, we are shown a helicopter heading to Mount Gumjeong. After listening to the whole situation that was happening in Busan and in Korea in general on the phone, the silver-haired man said that he would sort everything out. Having finished the phone conversation, he jumped from the helicopter straight down.